It's all over. Defense, defense, defense. And the Knicks play tremendous defense. They held the Kings to 91 points. Jerry Reynolds hit it right on the number in terms of, he said he doesn't think this game will get to 100. Ryan, I got to give the Knicks a lot of credit. I mean, they just handcuffed the Kings in this game. They handcuffed them.
They did. It felt like a game back at Arco Arena in 1996, Grant. It was a defensive struggle, not a ton of three-pointers, very physical, and they almost took the three. They took the Kings out of transition tonight. A lot of mistakes in transition.
Two things that stuck out at me after analyzing this game real quickly.
Yeah.
We talked about this at half. Sabonis, Brunson. Mm-hmm. Kings couldn't slow down Brunson. And the Knicks did a much better job on Sabonis in that second half.
They did do a much better job on Sabonis. And I'm not going to lie, the refs tonight were awful. We have to acknowledge that. It was a poorly reffed game both ways. But they took away what the Kings usually do well. And then also their other guys got going. You talk about Jerry getting the score right, Grant. DiVincenzo, it's exactly who Jerry said. He got more active in the second half.
Yeah, he had 15 points, and the Kings lose 98-91. So this is a Kings team that continues to take a step forward, and then they take a step back. They barely beat San Antonio. They lost to Houston. Great 24 hours beating the Bucks and the Lakers, and now they lose to the Knicks with one game left on this homestand against Memphis. And I'm just telling you right now, I know Memphis has a terrible record. That game's not going to be any picnic, all right? Don't anyone think you can mail that in. It's just not going to happen.
No, and actually, as we look at the rest of the Kings' schedule, Grant, the next three games, this is the fat reserve. If the Kings want to put any fat on their bones, they've got to do it. They have a very favorable schedule compared to the other teams in the race for the 5 and 6 seeds.
Yeah, and then after the next three games, fasten your seatbelts because there aren't too many breathers the rest of the way. And I say breather because I'm going by records, but you're absolutely correct. Okay, so 98-91, you look at Anunoby, who only scored 2 points for the Knicks. You had 21 from Sabonis, 20 from Fox. How about Kevin Huerter played 16 minutes and did not score? And I'm not blaming the loss on him, but what I am saying is, I mean, I know Keon Ellis played 29 minutes and Huerter played 16, so he's playing more. But do we need to see a change in the starting lineup, Rhino?
Grant, it's a great question because, I mean, I'll kick it back to you. I think if Keon Ellis starts this game tonight, the Kings start this game a little bit better and don't have such a slow first quarter, and maybe they win this ball game.
Yeah. Well, they didn't win it. They lose it 98-91, and the Kings lose a home game to a team that's pretty good. You know, even though they don't have Randall and a couple of other pieces, they don't have Robinson. They're a pretty good team. They're a pretty good team.
Grant, they're a great team. They're going to make some noise in the Eastern Conference. We talked about it, or we talked about it at halftime, but this is great for the Kings. I am so happy this happened. I can't even tell you how.
Why?
Because they needed the Knicks are one team in the East that I think can cause Boston some problems for the exact reason that you just saw tonight. Boston is a three-point shooting team many times, and New York can muck it up, but they can also be explosive. Now, in the Western Conference, there's like no teams that play like New York. So if the Kings continue playing with this edge and this physicality, no matter who they play, that's going to be something to hang your hat on the rest of the season.
I'll believe it when I see it. The Kings with the loss.
Sure.
I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. Because you know what? We could be sitting here 48 hours from now talking about a loss to Memphis. It wouldn't shock me. I need to see it. I need to see it because guess what? They play the Knicks in a couple of weeks at Madison Square Garden. They play the Celtics in a couple of weeks in Boston. They have a couple of some of these teams you're talking about, they still have to play them in their gym.
Yeah. So no, it's going to be a tough stretch. But again, the Kings have the favorable stretch. Grant, if I look at the Suns right now, they have coming up Milwaukee, Philly, and Atlanta. That's a pretty tough schedule to me. Atlanta's kind of a give me. Dallas, Denver, San Antonio, Utah. That's a little bit more of a pushover. And then the Pelicans, Brooklyn, Miami, and Orlando. So the Kings are in prime position. I'm not considering the Lakers or the Warriors in the race now. How about
No.
you?
See, I have a little bit of a different take. I'm not worried about Phoenix. I'm worried about Dallas because they have a very easy schedule the rest of the way, including 2 games in Sacramento. And those 2 games may very well determine who's 6 and who's 7. Phoenix's schedule is brutal. I could see them dropping below Sacramento, but Sacramento's schedule is as difficult, in my opinion. But it's the Mavericks. I don't know if you've looked at their schedule. Their schedule is relatively easy compared to the Suns and the Kings.
Yeah, you're spot on. It is a little bit easier than what the Kings play. Let me ask you this. This was brought up in the pregame show. Do you think there's any chance the Kings could climb to 4?
No. 4?
I didn't. Yes, that's what I said.
No.
I said no way, but
No. Come on.
some people think it's there. They see a
Well,
path.
the people are delusional.
Well, it's been a hard season to judge, and that's why sample size is so weird. You always go by 5 games. I try to kind of follow your lead there, but now I'm going by just a game here, a game there, because there's so few games left, and this team has changed.
Well, that's the point I'm trying to make. There are so few games left. Do you understand how difficult it is to make up 4 games in the standings with only 16 games left? Fans don't understand how that doesn't happen. All right. And it's not like you talk about 4. Forget about 4. The Kings are 7th right now. The Kings have 28 losses. The Clippers have 24. They're not catching the Clippers. All right. They're not catching any of the top 4. I personally feel that even 5 is going to be very difficult because you're 2 back in a loss column and you lose the tiebreaker. So for all intents and purposes, you're 3 back with 16 games left and you play New Orleans. That would have to be an absolute must win in order to even think about that. I'm not thinking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now, Rhino. I'm thinking about 6. 6 is the magic number. 6 is the magic number. Forget about 4, forget about 5. 6 is what you got to be zeroing in on.
Napes, I would sign the piece of paper, fall over happy if you said, here's a contract, you'll be the 6th seed starting in 3 weeks. Done.
Well, yeah. All right. Hey, if you have any plumbing issues, repairs, you have a company that will be there for you. They're awesome. New Works Plumbing. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. They're available around the clock 24/7. That's New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. sackserviceplumbing.com. Kings lose to the Knicks. They only put 91 on the board, the final of 98-91. And again, we talk about the schedule. Sacramento has to play in New York, and then they play Boston the next night. That's going to be very difficult to win either of those games.
Well, yeah. How about the back-to-back in the next 3, Grant? You've got, I believe it's Washington and Toronto, which means you got to do customs.
Yes. Yep. That's not an easy back-to-back. I can tell you that right now. And, I'm looking at the schedule here for Sacramento, and you made a very good point. These next 3 games, if you're really thinking about 6 being the number, these almost have to be must wins because you have Memphis, at Toronto, and at Washington. But then here we go. At Orlando, Philly at home, Dallas at home, Utah at home, the Clippers at home, at the Knicks, at the Celtics, at the Nets, at the Thunder, home New Orleans, home Phoenix, home Portland. I mean, anyone that's talking the 4th seed, you're delusional. Ain't happening, okay? 5th, possible, unlikely. 6 is where it's got to be at. That's where you're looking at. 6.
Yeah, I think 6 is, where you want. Even matchups, we can go there because I think the top 4, we've already hit on this, and we hit on this, but at the All-Star break, top 4 are set, and they are, and that's the point you're making, and I love it. Hey, we want to hear from all of you tonight. We're opening the phones up to you. You can scan the QR code, or you can go to the chat. We've got it pinned up there. You ready to take a couple calls, Grant? See what the fans have to say?
I am, but I want to just since we're talking about this, I just want to give you the Mavericks schedule real quickly, okay?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. They've got the Nuggets, the Spurs, the Jazz, Kings, Rockets, Warriors, Hawks, Warriors, Rockets, Hornets, Heat, Pistons, Thunder. That's a much easier schedule than Sacramento or Phoenix.
Did you say Warriors twice? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
It is a much easier schedule. There's no doubt about it. But the fact is, Grant, you look at the Pelicans. The Pelicans are really the only team right now that I would say is streaking out of the group of three that we're talking about. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Everybody else 6-4, 5-5.
Yeah. All right. Let's take some calls, buddy.
Let's do it. We welcome Zach into the show. Welcome on with Grant and Rhino.
I have never been so pissed off after a Kings loss in a long time. Actually, I have to date back to probably a few years ago. Really?
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, over the last couple of years, I just kind of got used to if they lose, okay, yeah, it's not that big of a deal to me. This season, they've been so inconsistent. So when they lose, it's just kind of they've just kind of lost very similarly in a lot of these games. Just not putting much effort. Fox just not living up to his capability.
Zach, did you watch the game tonight?
I did. Yeah, I did. It's just a frustrating loss. Just how hard, because they played really hard. They did play really hard. And it just sucks when you watch your team play in a game like this and they just choke in the final few minutes. And then your star point guard. I mean, I know that Knicks are one of the best defenses in the league, so you have to give them credit there. But I'm saying, you would probably try to expect more from your star point guard.
Well, how about we give credit to the Knicks, who are a better team than the Kings? They have 40 wins and 27 losses, so that they have a better record than Sacramento. And we talk about these type of matchups for the Kings are not good. So you are way down on the Kings, and you think they choked. I don't think they choked. I think they got beat by a really good team. I don't think that's called choking. That's my opinion.
But I do agree with Ryan. He actually said this 5 minutes ago. I think they should have started Ellis. I think Mike Brown is just kind of getting to be too, I'm trying to find the right word, comfortable. Predictable, yes. It's what I'm saying. He just seems like he's not opening to change, putting Ellis in the starting lineup, or just shifting around his lineup. I think he's kind of just been too much. I'm trying to find the right terminology, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, Zach, I would say that Mike Brown has been anything but predictable with his rotation this year. It's changed so much. Look at who's come in, who's gone out. We've had injuries. So, I mean, we've talked, and I don't remember some of them off the top of my head, but there's certain losses this year where you just take something from it, a little notch, and you put it on your belt because you're going to use it somewhere down the road. We said the Denver game right before the All-Star break when nothing was going right. The Kings did that. Well, tonight, the Knicks are better at playing physical and fouling and getting away with it than the Kings. Maybe they can take a little something from there and do that better and bring that to the West.
I just hope that they would win this game. And then it just seemed like if they won this game, it would really give them boost their confidence even that much more. So it just kind of sucks as I look at it all.
Well, you know what? Any loss now sucks because it fluctuates the standings so much. I mean, the Kings are now 7th, and these next 3 games they absolutely need to win because their schedule is getting very difficult. But Zach, we appreciate you chiming in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we got to give some credit here to the Knicks. I think people are maybe undervaluing the Knicks a little bit. They have a better record than Sacramento, and they've had many more injuries than Sacramento, and they still have a better record. And they make you work for every basket, and the Kings don't play against this style very often. And it's not easy. It's not easy. So I'm personally going to give some credit to the Knicks. I don't think the Kings choked. Do I think Fox had a good game? No, he didn't have a good game. He got handcuffed too. He was 5 of 19 in this game.
He settled. He settled, yes. Grant.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens, and he missed free throws. Sabonis missed free throws. I mean, if we're going to talk about the refs and we're going to say the Kings got screwed, would they have made the free throws if they got to the line? I know they didn't do bad tonight, but
yeah, they shot pretty well from the line tonight. 21 of 26. That's 80%.
Yeah.
So, we normally harp on the free throws. I can't tonight, and I know you're not, but you're just saying
no.
In crunch time, had they gotten to the line, would they made them? And that's a great question. Yeah.
Exactly. I have a question for you on the other side of this. But first, I want to welcome to the family Pop's Premium Meat Shop in Elk Grove. Yes, they are a local-owned, family-run butcher. They have every cut that you can probably think of and cuts you've never tasted that are better than you've probably ever had in your life. Your grill will thank you. Go in. They're located in Elk Grove on Bruceville Road, and ask about one of their 14 custom sausages, and they will give you one for free as long as you mention Grant or Rhino when you go in. And there you go. We got
for
you
free,
back.
huh? For free.
You get a free sausage. And Grant Pops, they do so much for the community. I've been going there for a year. I almost didn't want to tell you. I didn't want to tell everybody there. That's less meat for me. They're like 2 miles from my house.
Hey, next time I'm in town, you're taking me there. I'm going there. All right.
Oh, you
Absolutely.
know it. So
if I walk in there and say, "Hey, I'm Grant," I get a free sausage, or am I excluded from this?
You might be excluded. I would probably charge you. What's a sausage going to do for you anyways? You need a couple. You're a bigger guy.
I'll just say Ryan sent me in. Maybe that will work.
Yeah, there we go. That's perfect. Hey,
I love that. I love that. That's great.
Yeah, they are awesome. But I want to ask you really quick what Zach was asking. He said the team, it's got to be basically demoralizing to lose a game like this. You've been in more locker rooms than I have. I would think this rallies the Kings together.
I don't think it does either. I think that most NBA players have a mindset that there's always another game. And sometimes you can build off a previous game, but this team has showed me this year they don't build off games. I'll tell you what this team does very well, and I applaud them. They play very well after losses. All right. When they have a bad loss, I don't think this was a bad loss, but when they lose, they generally bounce back and play very well the next game. That's the one attribute that I love. Do I think the Kings get a lot of confidence from this game? I'm not on the same page as you. I don't. Do I think they lose confidence? No, I don't. I just think they understand it's a tough matchup. They're right now turning their attention to Memphis, and they know in the back of their mind they got to go to Madison Square Garden in 3 weeks and play this same team, and they'll worry about the Knicks when they get there. But no, I don't think so, Ryan. I don't think it gives them any extra amount of confidence. Again, I don't think it hurts their confidence, but sure. I don't think it does anything.
Well, I just don't know how players respond when it comes to a game like that, when the refs, you're so frustrated. De'Aaron loses his temper a little bit. You get it. But hey, keep calling. We're going to keep going to you guys. We bring in Michael. Michael, what's up, man? You're almost great.
How are you guys doing so far?
Good. Great. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing great. I thought the game was, it's a tough loss for the Kings, but, I have to give credit to the Knicks. They play tough defense, tonight. Although the officials were terrible tonight, but, that's part of the game, right? I mean, that's how it is, right? What are you guys' thoughts about the upcoming schedule so far? I mean, for the Pelicans, I wanted to know the Pelicans' schedule so far.
Yeah, I don't have their schedule in front of me right now, but I'm not worried about the Pelicans. I'm not.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that, Michael, it really doesn't matter which of the teams in front of you leapfrog. You only have to go past one, because being fifth doesn't really mean anything right now. Being sixth, being sixth is huge. I mean, if you can be fifth, yeah, that's great. But Michael, the key is just be not 7, 8, 9, or 10, and then you're in the playoffs. I mean, you don't want to take your chances in the play-in tournament.
No. I don't like playing. Just gotta go to the playoffs.
I'm more worried about Dallas right now for a couple of reasons. They have an easier schedule, and you play them twice. And you got to make sure that you split those games at the very least. If you lose both those games, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, cannot lose to Dallas. We gotta win out. And then we got to try to see what we learned mistakes against the Knicks, and see what happens 3 weeks later. See what happens, Hopefully good things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm with you. I want to see this team go in and play well at Madison Square Garden.
I
would
hope so.
love that.
You know, that will determine
So-
where the Kings season will end at. Where will the seedings? Where will the Kings place? Hopefully, the six is at the best, right, Grant? As you called it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely 6. And I'll tell you, and I don't want to minimize this. I really
Yes.
think the Kings are going to feel the loss of Trey Lyles in some of these games. I
Mm.
we
really
haven't even. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
They
we're
lost.
not
Yeah.
even we're not even talking about that. I think this is going to cost the Kings a game or two during his absence. I really do.
Yeah. Trey Lyles brings energy. You know,
He
I
does a
love.
lot of good things for this team.
Yeah. You know, it's great to talk to you guys. I mean,
Thank you,
I'm
Michael.
glad to talk
Yeah, of
to you.
course.
You know, credit the Knicks. They played well. You know,
Yeah.
we'll probably be better next game, right?
Appreciate you. Call again,
Yep.
okay?
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Take care,
much.
guys.
Hey, you take
Thanks.
care
He's
too.
great.
Yeah, he is good. I enjoy him very much. I also enjoy Bennett's when I'm in Sacramento. 3 locations, Sacramento, Roseville, and the West Side Grill in Rockland at the Blue Oaks Town Center. Prime seafood and steak at Bennett's. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com. Make a reservation. Check out the menu and more. And don't forget the weekend brunch, the weekend prime rib. It's a great place to go tomorrow if you're looking for a nice brunch. It's all there for you. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com. 98-91, the final. Sacramento loses to the Knicks. And again, every single game with 16 remaining, every single game, okay? Every game. And I just, Trey Lyles is going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. That doesn't mean he comes back in 2 weeks. You know, that just
Right.
means he's reevaluated.
What's that mean,
So,
Grant? Grant, is that a situation by situation, or when you hear reevaluated, does that trigger an amount of time in your head?
reevaluated means that there's no way he's doing anything for 2 weeks. And then once they reevaluate him, if they give him the green light, that he can get back to basketball activities, work his way back into basketball shape, or you know what I'm saying, into the flow, and
Yeah,
then play.
absolutely.
So that's where we're at with him.
Well, it makes the Sasha situation all that more important. What's going on with him? He's been shooting around, has not practiced. Mike Brown
Right.
talked about that yesterday after
Right.
practice. So can he try to fill that role? Because the Kings will need him if he's able to.
Yeah, but I don't know what to expect from a rookie, and I don't care what he did in Europe. Now you're going to be asking him to step into the biggest games of the season, not really knowing what he's going to be able to do for you. So that's going to be a very fine line for Coach Brown when Sasha is ready to play. It's not going to be easy, that's for sure.
Do you think that's a fine line where even if he comes back, he may not be in the rotation, or a fine line you got to have a quick hook?
To me, if Kevin Huerter continues to struggle the way he is, the Kings desperately, and without Trey Lyles, the Kings are in desperate need of a three-point shooter, and he's a tremendous three-point shooter. And for that reason, I think he'll be on the floor, assuming that Huerter continues to struggle and you're still without Lyles. I don't think you really have a choice. You need three-point shooting on the floor.
Yeah, I'm with you. You look what Mike Brown did last year. He turned to Terrence Davis in Game 7.
Yes.
So here's the other thing that I would say about Coach Brown and the situation with Huerter. He's in an impossible situation, Grant. I mean, the fan base probably wants Keon to start. Keon would have a statue right now if he would have made the 3 at the end of the third quarter from half court after picking in the guy's pocket. So that's the obvious thing, but Kevin Huerter has won a lot of games for this basketball team in that starting lineup.
Yes, he has. It's a very difficult situation, but I'm always been under the belief, what have you done for me lately? And personally, I think the leash on Kevin Huerter has been too long this year. And I know
he didn't
that,
have
you know,
any
again,
choice.
okay. But so I'm going to ask you this, because you made a very good point about the first quarter. Huerter only played 16 minutes in this game. Keon Ellis played 29. And you mentioned this at halftime. Who would be on the floor at the end of the game? Who was on the floor at the end of the game? It wasn't Huerter, it was Ellis.
Yep. Keon Ellis. And for that reason, I think it doesn't make sense to me that you would just start somebody to start them. And I'm not
No.
trying to screen from the mountains that Keon Ellis is the next coming, because he's not. He's given this team a lot of energy. What Keon brings is contagious. It's
Yes.
contagious. It is spread to both sides of the basketball the last 3 games. So
But-
if that can,
But there's a but there. Okay. Mike Brown has to decide what is more important to him at this juncture of the season from quarter to quarter and within the flow. Ellis has shown that he can score, but that's not what he does. It's the same
No.
thing with Mitchell. So here's a perfect example tonight. You had Mitchell play 12 minutes and you had Ellis play 29. They combined for 5 points. So that is not a recipe for success. I don't care how damn good your defense is. On nights when Ellis and Mitchell are not contributing offensively, I don't care how good they play defense, you absolutely need Kevin Huerter to make some shots. You have to. Without Trey Lyles, without Sasha Vezenkov, you have to have your starting 2-guard make some freaking shots. Or else, guess what happens? You don't score 100 points.
you don't score 100 points, and you're right on, Grant. But that's why, to me, I think it does make the most sense to make the change, not just for the reasons we discussed, but also because I think Kevin Huerter needs a shakeup. You remember when he got removed from the starting lineup after getting hurt, and then he played well. He ended up coming back and doing good. But that second unit now without Trey Lyles in it, you got to have some type of stability there. And if you're going to pull somebody from the starting lineup, I think Kevin's a great candidate.
No argument.
With that bench unit.
No argument.
So, and here's the other thing.
I would also add this. Kevin Huerter started the game tonight, and the Kings had the lead at the end of the first quarter.
They did. How much was that about what the Kings did versus what the Knicks didn't do? The referees.
You know what? It was because of what Sabonis did. That's why they had the lead in the first quarter. You know what I mean? Let's just call it the way it is.
Well, Dave, if you want his first quarter stat line, I could give it to you. 13-5, 1-1. I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah. So, I'm just trying to throw different scenarios at you. My experience, and again, this can change Monday.
Yeah.
Coaches don't normally change the starting lineup at this juncture of the season. They limit minutes like they did with Huerter tonight, but they don't change the lineup unless there's an injury. Generally speaking.
It would be a drastic change for Mike Brown, because if Huerter's been as inconsistent as he's been all this year, now I'm playing devil's advocate, why would you make the change now? You already know whatever he brings is a bonus now at this point.
I agree. So happy
Grant,
to have everyone with you. We wish we had the beam lit and better circumstances, but sometimes you got to give credit to the opponent, and I'm giving credit to the opponent tonight. The Knicks are 4th in the East for a reason. They're a 40-win team for a reason, and they've had a lot of injuries. And they're still getting the job done. I give them a lot of credit.
They're getting it done. They've been a crafty group. I heard, I was talking to somebody that frequents Knicks games, and I guess, and you can confirm this because you used to frequent the celebrity row, the front row. When you notice the celebrities without having to look up their names, the Knicks are relevant again.
Very, very
and
true.
He said that's what it is now.
100% true. So true. When the Knicks were bad, we'd go into Madison Square Garden, maybe see one celebrity that was recognizable. Now you're right. It would be every game. You're absolutely correct. Every game. Yep. Yeah.
Pretty darn cool for them. And in many ways, the Knicks and the Kings are similar, even though they're the ultimate opposites in terms of the size of the market. So I like it. They're turning it around.
Love the participation. Love how many people are joining us here on the stream. And don't forget, we'll be doing again on Monday as the Kings wrap up this homestand against Memphis. Tomorrow, Phoenix plays Milwaukee, and Chris Middleton is coming back for the Bucks. So the Bucks will be at full strength for that game. against the Phoenix Suns. And right now, you're a Bucks fan, hoping for the Suns to lose as they wrap up their road trip.
But you got to root a little bit for Isaiah Thomas.
I am rooting 100% for Isaiah. So happy for him. I am so freaking happy for him. What a great story. And, you know, a 10-day contract. And he tore it up in the G League. I mean, he was just on a 4-game rampage. And I'm really, really happy for him. I just am delighted for him. Hey, before we get to the next call and your messages, I want to tell you about Fosters and Paws. They are a group of animal advocates. They do a great job. They are very passionate. They work hard to save lives. They work with young people, which I love. They teach them the lifelong benefits of being around animals. And, you know, they focus on vulnerable dogs in shelters primarily. They pull a lot of pregnant moms, nursing moms, bottle puppies, dogs with medical needs. And they're looking for adopters, donors, and fosters. To learn more, go to fostersandpaws.org/adopt. That's fostersandpaws.org/adopt. Kings lose 98-91. Memphis is next.
Handle your business. I would say out of the last 3 games, that's the one you worry about the most. Unfortunately.
Because they're a bad team. And what happens when the Kings play bad teams?
They usually play down to their levels, but that's going to be the next test, and it'll start to get to a 5-game sample size, and we can judge it then. Grant, I think we're in a little bit of trouble with the chat. They are not happy with us. We've neglected the chat a little bit today. We got to get some of these messages up, but you guys are doing so many messages. They're coming quick. Thank you.
Okay, so you are allowed in the chat, just like you. Who are you responding to somebody else? So yeah, you know what? Hey, we do read a lot of the messages. They come so fast that, as Ryan said, we don't always have the ability to put them up. All right. Knicks versus the refs, and we still won. I don't think.
I don't know
Knicks
about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Hey, we go back to the phones really quick. Teddy, welcome into the show. First time caller. Teddy.
Hi, how are you guys doing tonight?
How are you, Teddy?
I'm hanging in there. We have to be positive and not negative.
No, you don't have to be positive. You can be whatever the hell you want. If you want to be negative, be negative. If you want to be positive, you be positive.
Okay.
Boo-hoo.
Did I scare Terry?
Graham, what did you just do to Teddy?
You know what? I'm so tired of these people. Oh, you're
on.
too negative. You know, you need to be. No, bullshit. If you want to be negative, be negative. Okay. I mean, that's what we do here. You know, we're not cheerleaders. I don't come on this show with pom poms. We call it the way it is. You know, I mean, and as Scuba says, Teddy is trolling you guys. He's not trolling me anymore. I can tell you that.
Is. I caught up on the chat. Teddy was the troll. The first comment you read, they were saying, "Get the troll out of here."
Oh, okay.
So they had our back. They
well, I like that. You know what? That's why I love doing this show. We have so many people that have our backs all the time. You know,
they're absolutely the best. Let's try one more. Let's go to Rooftop Sports. Welcome on with Grant and Rhino.
How's it going? Oh, let's get my mic. Yeah, how's it going? I'm from Seattle. Yeah, sorry what we did to you guys in 2013, but glad all has worked well. Anyways, I do have family in Sacramento, so Sacramento is kind of part of me. But I was wondering if you guys have been considering doing a play-by-play, because I truly miss that whole "you don't like that, you don't like Kings basketball," and I do play-by-play myself for the Mariners.
Oh, good for you.
Oh, wow.
Do you really?
Cool. Yeah, I have a YouTube. This is my YouTube channel itself. Over 1,000 subscribers.
Good for you. You know what? Keep up the good work. I'm happy to hear that. The problem with doing play-by-play is the legal aspects of it, number one. But number two, when Ryan and we tried to do watch parties and go over the game, and it just seems like everyone's got the game 5 seconds ahead, 30 seconds behind. 20, and then we get complaints that I'm talking about what's going on in the game before they're seeing it happen. And logistically, it's been a real challenge for us.
Yeah, It's always tough, yeah. I mean, when I do it, as long as I don't have the screen. So basically, I'm just a radio on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
there you
again,
go.
I have to be careful, and Ryan too. And I'm not going to speak for you, about copyright infringement and broadcasting a live sporting event that we don't have the rights to. Can be a very slippery slope.
Gotcha. All right. I mean, if it was allowed, we would have all loved to hear your famous tagline because it never gets old. We all miss it.
I appreciate that. Have you
Yeah.
checked us out before? Or is this the first time?
This is actually maybe a few days in. Like I was just looking at your name out of random, and I was like, "Oh, you have a YouTube channel." Well, yeah, I'm definitely supporting it because I definitely miss you from your play-by-play, and I'm sorry how it all went down. I know we don't want to talk about it too much,
You
but
can talk about whatever you want, but I appreciate your support. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
absolutely, and keep up the good work.
All right, I got something for you. Don't go anywhere. All right.
1, go.
Sacramento miscue. Carter. Stolen by Williams. And look at this. Oh, you don't like that. You don't like NBA basketball. Fox. Goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. The exclamation point from De'Aaron Fox.
All right, there you have it. We give you a little taste of you if you don't like that, okay? I wanted to make sure you got your fix before you left us on the show tonight.
Yeah, of course. And I also agree with you with the whole everyone should be allowed to be negative and positive because everyone should be allowed diverse opinions because if everyone had one opinion and everyone agreed, it'd be a really boring show.
Yeah. All right,
Everyone
let me
needs
ask you.
different
I'm going to
opinions,
ask
yeah.
you one baseball question.
Go ahead.
What are the Mariners going to do this year? Are they a playoff team? Yes or no?
I would say it's very contingent on their health. If everyone's healthy, they could easily win the division. If everyone's injured, they will maybe squeak by with 80 to mid 80s kind of season. But it's like a hit or miss, it feels like. But at least I don't expect 400 strikeouts within two guys, Eugenio Suarez and Teoscar Hernandez.
Awesome. Hey, call again. Appreciate it. Thank you very
absolutely.
much.
Congrats on your channel, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. Keep up the good work. And for you other morons on our chat line, I did not lose my lawsuit. So stop spreading false nonsense. My lawsuit is ongoing and it's going very well. And stop being an idiot, okay? Stop being an idiot. All right. Great to have that caller from Seattle. Cool. We're happy that you are on with us. And if you want to hit us up on the chat line or give us a call, we would love to have you. We appreciate that.
Very cool. You guys have brought it all night. It's been fun. We'll put some more of your chats up while we welcome Chang into the show. Chang, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Hey, Grant, Ryan. I'm doing great. And I think this game just, reminds us that, again, I think the Kings really struggle with physicality, especially when the other team have perimeter defense to contain Fox and Monk. I feel like these type of games, I'm wishing Harrison, Keegan, and Kevin Huerter step up to really, take a load of the scoring, especially when the perimeter defense is so tough on Fox and Monk. But I do have a question for you both because I know the big debate right now is Keon Ellis and Kevin Huerter. I guess my question is, if we do try to make a run in the playoffs, who do you kind of see play more? Do you think it's going to be Keon or Kevin? Because I felt tonight was a good definition of a playoff style basketball, and I felt Keon's going to play more in that playoff style, that physicality. Or to be honest, Kevin really struggled against the Golden State Warriors, and I almost see that Kevin struggles in these physicality games where the defense picks up less fouls. I feel like Kevin struggles in these games. So honestly, sometimes I am on board. Like maybe we do start Keon because if we want to make a run in the playoffs or even the play-in, and the defense is going to pick up, it seems Keon plays better with that style.
I think it will depend on Kevin Huerter. He will determine how many minutes he plays because the reality is if Kevin Huerter is not making shots, he's no good to you, relatively speaking. I'm simplifying this. If he's not making shots, then he hurts you. If he makes shots, he is a real asset to this team and their offense, but that will be determined by none other than Kevin Huerter. Mike Brown would love to have Huerter play more minutes, but he can't have him on the floor if he's not scoring. I mean, that's what he does.
But Mike Brown also can't run this style of defense with Kevin Huerter on the floor. What they're doing with Keon Ellis, it's worked because nobody else can do what Keon Ellis does on this roster. Maybe
It's worked to a degree.
Keegan Murray.
It's worked to a degree.
Well, what's the degree?
Well, they lost. They got a gift against the worst team in the West in San Antonio when Ellis was on the floor. They lost to Houston when Ellis was on the floor, and they just lost to the Knicks with Ellis playing a lot of minutes. So let's not make it sound like Keon Ellis is like a lot of fans are putting Keon Ellis, in my opinion, on way too high of a pedestal.
Yeah,
he has a role on this team. He has a role on this team, but he's not like the difference maker, in my opinion, on this team. He has a role that this team needs, and that's defense. But you also have to understand there's another part of the floor, and there are nights when he will not score like tonight. And so you have to ask yourself, okay, those are the games, Ryan, that you absolutely need Kevin Huerter or a Trey Lyles who's not available or Sasha Vezenkov who's not available. Let me ask you, Ryan, on a night when Kevin Huerter is not making shots, where do you get your offense that's not named Fox or Sabonis? But more importantly, Ryan, who makes three-pointers for you?
It's been Malik Monk.
Okay, that's one.
Monk that's going to hit your threes. You might get an occasional one out of Domas, right?
Yeah, but that's not occasional. But Monk, yes, 100%.
Keegan. It's got to be Keegan. Okay. You have to have Keegan Murray in that role. And then Harrison's the backup. Harrison can kind of do both. But if you're talking about the three-point line, I'm looking straight at Keegan Murray.
Okay. Follow-up question. We had another game tonight. Mm-hmm. I understand the Knicks are a good team and a good defensive team. The Kings lost the game tonight, and I'm going to point to the three-point shooting. They took 37 three-pointers, and they only made 10. This team, with Keon Ellis and with Davion Mitchell, is still not good enough to win games consistently when the three-point shot is not falling. And tonight, to me, was a perfect example. And I'm not discrediting the Knicks and their defense. I get that. But how else are the Kings going to beat you on nights when their three ball is not falling, especially when you don't have Trey Lyles, you don't have Sasha Vezenkov, two guys that can shoot the three? I just asked you to name the players. And Monk, yes. Sabonis, not really the – Keegan Murray, yes. But you know what? Keegan's very inconsistent. He's been inconsistent lately offensively. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think everybody except Domantas Sabonis is.
Yes. Keegan Murray tonight took 7 threes and he only made 1. Yeah. There's a reason why the Kings scored. There's a reason why the Kings scored 91 points. And I understand part of it is the Knicks defense. But you know, Ryan, the Kings also missed open threes in this game, right? And if they made a couple of those open threes, they would have won the game.
Grant, you are spot on. It's the first time it's been said this show. I'm surprised it hadn't been said. So well done there. But also, you have to acknowledge the Kings haven't been in many of these games. And the reason they haven't been in many of these games is because with Kevin Huerter and that group that you need to get your three-pointers, you can get your threes, but you're going to be down 20. You're not in close games. It's not a fight. It's not back and forth. And I know you named the games previous to the last 3, Grant, but before tonight, and I would argue at least 2 of the quarters tonight, I would put into a very good category for this Sacramento Kings team. So tell me a better 14 of 16 quarters that you've seen this year. And that largely is how Keon, just the approach, not what he's bringing. It's been contagious.
Okay, I don't disagree with you about the 14 of the 16 quarters. But, okay, the Lakers are not a good team. They're not. They're an average team, okay? You lost to a below average team or a below 500
But
team.
Grant, we're not talking about a good team. We're talking about an inconsistent team. This is
That's
the
my
same
point.
team. Yes.
They are inconsistent.
Yes. So that
So-
we're comparing. We're saying the Lakers aren't a very good team. Well, guess what? How many wins or how many losses are they ahead of the Lakers right now? It's
It's
three.
4.
4. They've got 4 ahead of the Lakers right now. Okay. So yeah, they're a little bit of a better team than the Lakers, but they're still not a good team. So I have a hard time saying, well, the Lakers aren't a good team, but you beat them. You can't have it both ways.
Well, I think the Kings are a good team. I've been saying that all year. I don't think they're
Yeah.
anything more than a good team. I think they're a team that has many flaws. And I think their biggest flaw is they still cannot beat you on nights when they're not making threes. That's the biggest flaw that I
Yes.
see. And you can say all you want about Keon Ellis and Davion Mitchell, and that's fine and dandy. But as Jerry Reynolds always says, there's a reason why there's a scoreboard hanging over the court. Okay. You
Yes.
still need to be able to score if you're going to win. And guess what? The Kings scored 91 points tonight. They scored 91 points tonight.
Correct. But Grant, also, I know Brunson had a big night. Imagine the night Brunson would have had if you didn't have Ellis and Fox switching on the perimeter. That takes a lot of communication. Kevin Huerter and Fox don't do that.
No,
That's
they
a
don't.
big difference.
No, they do not. They do not. You're 100% correct. Hey, I want to tell you about Gold Country Veterinary and Hospital. They are located in Auburn, and they serve the Foothills, Roseville, and the greater Sacramento area. They're full-service veterinary medicine. They do dentistry, surgery, and wellness care, and they're dedicated to urgent care. And when your pet needs to be seen, they're available. You've heard me over the past couple of shows talk about all of the, I guess, I was going to say atypical, but emergency services that they do. They're amazing. They have advanced internal medicine. They have full surgical care. They have the most modern technology, and they are very proud of their pain management protocols for maximizing faster recovery for their surgical and dental patients. Gold Country Veterinary and Hospital, they do it all. Unfortunately, the Kings didn't do it all tonight. They were terrible from 3. And again, I do credit the Knicks defense for a lot of that, but this team will have to, even against Memphis, Ryan, even against Memphis, they're going to have to shoot the ball well from 3 to win that game.
Yeah, they will. And I think I have confidence they will. They didn't get out and run. And when they shoot the 3 well, a lot of times it's in transition. I see that coming. How rude of us. We just started debating and Shang's here.
No, it's wonderful to listen to debate because I think everyone wanted like the discussion about Keon and Kevin. And to be honest, I agree with Grant. I still felt like for us to be the best we can, Kevin and Keegan, they have to make the threes. They've been so inconsistent with the threes, and I just felt like if we're going to have the high ceiling, it's with Keegan and Kevin. And I think we love Keon and Davion because I think they stabilize the team. The games will look a lot closer than versus when Keegan and Kevin aren't making threes. But I still felt like this team is going to be the most talented and can be anyone when Kevin and Keegan can make those threes. So I hope they make the threes, but I'm just not feeling that well for them this year. So,
well, they live and die by the 3. It's 3 in the free throws for this team.
Yeah. And Ryan, you keep saying this over and over again, and I'm going to repeat it because I think you're spot on. With the schedule that the Kings have, their final 16 games, anything less than 3-0 in these next 16 is going to be a death march, in my opinion. I really believe I'm going to go on the record right now. If the Kings do not win their next 3 games, they will not be a top 6 seed. Their schedule is too difficult the rest of the way.
100%. We can agree on that. And I actually have confidence that they're going to roll in and do okay on these ones. But you got to have a better effort from Fox. You have to. You can't settle. This is the game that's tailor-made for you. And you just couldn't break loose.
Yep.
So I want to ask you really quick. I know we're kind of on the downside of the show. The play with Malik Monk, where he was clearly pushed out of bounds.
Yes.
No foul call.
I didn't get it.
Okay. So Tibbs challenges it. Great job by Tibbs, by the way, because the refs have to call the ball out of bounds on Malik. But do you just add that to the list of issues the NBA has to address with the instant replay?
I think so. Absolutely. It does need to be on the list. I've talked about this it should have been on the list a long time ago. I don't quite understand that.
It's almost embarrassing to me for the league that you send the refs to a table and you play it throughout the arena, seeing just a flat out mistake, and you can do nothing but hand the ball to the other team.
And I know and I would say this, Josh Tiven was the crew chief tonight. He's one of the very best refs in basketball.
Oh, he was
but
bad tonight.
But as a crew, I didn't think this game was officiated well, but I'll just say Josh Tiven's one of the very best refs in the league. He does the NBA finals. He's very good. But tonight, as a crew, I didn't think it was a very well officiated game.
Yeah, it was a tough one to watch all the way around. And in that third quarter, you thought, and we've kind of let De'Aaron Fox off the hook here. Mike Brown really well. You get the Keegan foul change, so that becomes a flagrant. You get the free throws. That changes momentum to me, right? That made the Kings, and they go on a run, 15-4 run. And then what happens? De'Aaron Fox gets a technical.
Yeah, that's bad right there. Yeah, I know. Fox is becoming, well, I got to be careful. I was going to say he's becoming Luka Doncic with he's not that bad. But Fox, in my opinion, has gone too far across the line, yapping all the time. Shut up and play the game, would you please?
Amen. Well said.
I'm
okay. I'm okay advocating for yourself, but there's a time. You see how Malik Monk does it? Have you ever seen anybody do it better than Malik Monk?
He does it great. Yeah. Yep.
Perfect. Ref, after the play, he was pushed out of bounds.
Yeah.
The ref came running over to him because he asked him to come over. That's respect. I like that. It doesn't seem to be the same way with Foxy and the refs.
I love it. Yep.
So, well, the Kings get 24 hours, and Memphis is up next.
And up right now, I want to tell you about Calusa Sunrise Landing, all right? And this is a Blazona development project. Sunrise Landing is the newest residential community in Calusa, all right? And it is a 5-phase development featuring 180 total homes. We're talking about beautiful, spacious interior, quality, craftsmanship, affordability, and community, located adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. And it is easy access to Highway 20, Highway 45, and I-5. Sunrise Landing in Calusa. Go to CalusaSunrise.com and check it out yourself. That's CalusaSunrise.com and Sunrise Landing. Well, I wish we had better news for you tonight, but we don't. The Kings lose to a good Knicks team, and you got to play them again in 3 weeks. You play them again at the Garden in 3 weeks.
Another 3 weeks. Kings hopefully, well, they should know what to expect now, Grant. And you know how we talk about those landmark stats? Assists, turnovers, 30-10. That's winning basketball for the Kings. I think after the last 2 games in this game, they only had 7 steals tonight. When the steals are in double digits, I don't have the stat in front of me. This team usually wins ball games.
Yeah, usually. And as you said, you don't play against teams in the league that play like the Knicks. The Knicks are a very unique team with how they play, and it's very successful. And that's why Jerry thinks that if they're healthy, they are the only team in the East that could be a legitimate threat to Boston. Now, he doesn't think they would beat Boston, but I'll tell you, if you got a Knicks-Celtics playoff series, Madison Square Garden would be loud as it's been in a long, long time.
That would be special. I could only imagine the race to get into the building for that. What would be a bigger ticket? The New York Rangers for like a game 7 against their rivals, or the Knicks versus Boston?
The Knicks.
Game 7.
The Knicks.
Really?
Yeah. The Knicks, it's a Knicks town. I was at game 7 in 94 for the Rangers and the Canucks. And I mean, it was one of the toughest tickets in the history of Madison Square Garden. But because the Knicks have been so bad for so long, if they could, let's say, play the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, that would be the toughest ticket for a Knicks game. Probably going back to over 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
MJ days. Wow.
I mean,
Incredible.
yes, that's correct. Ewing, MJ, that era, Phil Jackson with the Bulls and that whole era. That would be, yeah, absolutely. Now, when Linsanity was there, I went to Madison Square Garden. I did a game right in the middle of Linsanity.
I remember
And it was
that.
the loudest I had heard Madison Square Garden since the mid-90s when the Knicks were in the finals against the Rockets. I'd never heard Madison Square Garden as loud as it was during the Linsanity time, but that was just a fleeting type of it was a short period of time. If
it was
Knicks,
Okay. I was going to say it was a midweek game. I remember, and
it was unbelievable.
It was right after, I believe, he had the national TV performance against Kobe and the Lakers.
It was unbelievable. Yeah, it was unbelievable. It would the Garden was electric. You could feel the energy. It was unbelievable. But if you take away that little period of time, there hasn't been this much excitement over a Knicks team. And again, the Knicks would only be able to compete with the Celtics, in my opinion, if they get Randall back, get the other players back. They need those players to be able to even compete with the Celtics, in my opinion.
Yeah, they have to have a full deck, but they do enough to muck it up. I mean, they're kind of chameleons at times. They'll play any style you want, and they're shot makers. They have shot makers. Yep. DiVincenzo's been one. Brunson, how the hell he ever got away from Dallas is beyond me.
Yep. Well, again, the game's coming up. The last home game, Toronto and Washington. Those 3 games have to be wins if the Kings are going to be a top 6 team. I think if you mess up on one of these 3 games, you're not going to be a top 6 team because I think the schedule is just too difficult. I can already tell you what I think are going to be losses. Okay. And there are.
Oh yeah. We could go, we did a podcast last year where we did the entire half of the schedule, but we could go down it if you want.
All right. Well, let's do it real quick. I've got the schedule right in front of me, and I'm going to just tell you, we'll do it game by game. All right. So I'm just going to say that the next 3 games will be wins: Memphis, Toronto, Washington. Okay. I think they'll split the Orlando. I think they're going to lose to Philadelphia. And then I think they're going to lose their first game to Dallas. And the reason why I say that is they play Orlando on a Saturday, have to fly all the way back, have only 1 day off, and play Philadelphia, a team they do not match up well against. I don't care whether Embiid's on the floor or not. So I think they lose that game. Yeah. And then I think they lose the next game, which is Dallas. All right. 3rd game in 4 nights with a 3,000-mile journey. I think they lose that game. I think they beat Dallas the 2nd game. I think they beat Utah. I think they lose to the Clippers. I think they lose to the Knicks. I think they lose to the Celtics. I think they beat Brooklyn. I think they lose to Oklahoma City. All right. I think New Orleans and Phoenix are both toss-up games, 50-50. And then I think they beat Portland at the end of the year. But so the losses that I think they will have, okay, I have them 1 Philly, 2 Dallas, 3 Clippers, 4 Knicks, 5 Boston, 6 Oklahoma City. I think those are 6 losses right there out of the remaining 16 games. New Orleans toss-up, Phoenix toss-up, all right? Orlando on the road, good team, toss-up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those are, you just said it, that's a true toss-up because those aren't toss-ups like, will the Kings show up? Those are good teams. I disagree on the Dallas. I think they'll get the first one, lose the second one. That's as brutal of a stretch as you can have. I had no idea it was a back-to-back after 24 hours.
Yep. 3rd game in 4 nights with a cross-country night journey. All right. I'm just telling you from my experience, those 2 games are going to be brutal. And I'm also going to tell you what else I think is going to be a real key in those games. That is having a deep bench, and that is having a Sasha Vezenkov available. All right.
Yes.
I would think, just looking at the dates here, you're not going to have, in all likelihood. Now, I don't want to be official about this. I'm guessing that you still will not have Trey Lyles back by then.
I would say that's a safe bet. I'm with you.
Okay. You may have Sasha Vezenkov, and you're going to need his shooting in those games against the Mavs. But Ryan, that first Dallas game is the third game in 4 nights on back-to-back after a brutal travel from Orlando to Sacramento. That concerns me. That's a bad job by the schedule makers right there. That's a horrible job by the schedule makers. Horrible.
Yeah, Dallas is in Utah the night before, but it's not nearly as bad because they play a 2-game set with Utah, but the first of that is on a Thursday, and they don't play again until 3:25.
Yes. And you gain, that's correct. And you gain an hour when you go from Salt Lake City to Sacramento anyway. So it's not a bad back-to-back.
Okay. Well, yeah, that is you're going to have a fresh Dallas team. That's for sure. I mean, maybe you catch them content that first game in. I don't know.
We got to worry about Memphis first, because you know what? If you lose Sabonis or Fox, it's gonna, or if they're without Luka or Kyrie, things could change. But hey, really appreciate all of you for being with us, and we'll do it all over again on Monday, my friend.
I can't wait. Same time, same place, same shows. You know it.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. No lighting the beam tonight, but we'll be back Monday for another game. So long.